Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel and welcome back to my lizard lounge. So I am really excited today because we are finally doing another reptile room tour. I definitely do not do these videos as often as I should, so going forward I really want to try to do more frequent reptile room tours. And I know, I still have 2 more animal rooms in this house that I haven't even showed on my channel yet that I'm really overdue to show, so don't worry, those videos will be coming after this one. If I'm being honest, this room here is just by far my favorite room in the house. So it's the room that I want to show off the most, but I know I need to do the others, so those are coming soon. So today we are going to be doing a reptile room tour of my lizard lounge here to take a look at just everything in this room. I mean, what else is a room tour? A room tour is pretty straightforward. We're gonna be touring the room. Okay, but hold on. We can't get into the room tour just yet. I have a couple things that I wanna say. See the shirt that I'm wearing with this beautiful gecko on it? Well, I finally launched a Teespring store and I now have multiple merch designs that you can get, including this really awesome cat gecko shirt design. I just got this one in the mail this morning and I was so excited and I'm really happy with it. I think the gecko on it just looks so awesome, and there's so many other awesome designs in my Teespring store. There is over 100 products total, so it would really mean the world to me if you check that out and considered purchasing something. So if you want to help support me and my channel and my animals, check out my Teespring store after the video. My website Beyond the Wild is also live. So Beyond the Wild is an online zoo and an animal education center, so you can book live animal presentations and you don't have to be local to me. You can book them anywhere in the world because we offer them virtually. So check out Beyond the Wild if you're interested in that. The link to Beyond the Wild and my Teespring store will both be in the description down below. And now, the last thing I want to say is a little disclaimer, because as you will see in this video, I have a lot of animals. And we're only going to be seeing the animals that are in my lizard lounge here, which is literally only half of my animals. I still have like 20-ish more animals in other areas of the house, so yeah, I have a lot of animals. So with that said, this video is not meant to encourage anyone to go out and get a ton of pets or anything. This is basically a full-time job for me, caring for all of these animals, and I've been doing this for years and years now. And let me tell you, it's not easy and it's not cheap, and I really don't recommend it for everyone. Some people, yeah, some people are totally fine taking care of a lot of animals, but before you go out and get a lot of pets, or even any pet for that matter, make sure that you are prepared and make sure it's going to be a good fit for your lifestyle. Basically, just be a responsible pet owner. Alright, so now that we've gotten a little bit of promotion out of the way and we've gotten the disclaimer out of the way, let's go ahead and take a tour of my lizard lounge. So when we go ahead and walk into my lizard lounge here, this is what you are going to see. So there are a bunch of enclosures that go right from the very edge of this wall all the way across the back wall here to the very edge of this wall over here. I won't lie, it is honestly extremely satisfying how well these shelving units fit in this room here. With how perfect of a fit this is, you would honestly think that this like has to be custom made, but it's not at all. These are literally just basic shelving units that I picked up from Home Depot that just happen to absolutely perfectly fit in this room. So starting on this side of the shelving unit, which is the side closest to the door, we have 2 Exoterra enclosures on the ground here. Obviously, as you can see, they're empty right now. I don't really have any plans for them. This is just sort of where I'm keeping the enclosures because I don't have anywhere else to keep them. This is just where they are. I don't know why I'm explaining this so much. There's some tanks. And then next to those tanks we have my RO reservoir, and then we have some storage in here. So this is just where I keep things like my supplements and like gecko food and all that stuff. On top of this little storage unit here, we have my beautiful black velvet alocasia. She's putting out a new leaf. I'm really excited. Okay, but let's not get too distracted. Let's focus on the shelves. So right here we have my Leachianus gecko Chaos, and next to Chaos is my Standings Day gecko Mark. And now Mark is actually out right now, so let's say hi to Mark. Hello Mark, how are you doing? I hope you're having a good day. So then above Chaos and Mark, we have one of my new African fat-tailed geckos who I need to do an introduction video for. And then we also have my 2 baby emerald tree skinks up here. I don't see any of them right now, but oh wait, yes I do. There's one right there. There's one of my tree skinks. So I decided to go ahead and name my baby emerald tree skinks Thing 1 and Thing 2. This one here is Thing 1, and now thankfully my emerald tree skinks are really easy to tell apart because one of them has a slight kink on the tail, so yeah, it's really easy for me to tell them apart because of that. And look at that, I found Thing 2 down on the ground here. Hello. Hello guys, I also hope that you guys are having a nice day. These guys have been so much fun to own. I know there's like a lot of talk online about what awesome pets these guys make, and I'm here to confirm. I'm here to confirm that emerald tree skinks make amazing pet lizards. Okay, so now let's go ahead and move on to the middle section of this rack here. So as you can tell, this section has the most enclosures on it. We'll go ahead and start on the bottom and then we will work our way up. So this bottom row right down here houses exclusively amphibians. So this enclosure right here is home to Sandwich, who is my chubby frog. And then this one right here is for my Oida salamanders, and then right next to my salamanders we have Ferb, my Madagascar rain frog. I was digging around looking for my salamanders and I noticed someone poking their little face out. It's really hard to see, but there's a little salamander face there. Again, I don't know how well you can see, but I lifted up the coconut hide and there's one of my salamanders. They blend in really well with the dirt, so they're not the easiest to see, but he's chilling, he's there. Okay, so moving up a row, we'll start with these 2 enclosures right here, which house my chameleon geckos. I currently have 3 Urodactylodes viardi. I have 2 males and a female. So this enclosure right here houses Neptune, which is one of my males, and then this one right here houses Pluto and Venus, one of my male-female pairs. And lucky us, they're actually both out and about right now. So this one right here is Pluto, and then right back here behind him is Venus. I think that chameleon geckos are by far some of the most underrated pet reptiles. They are so much fun, they're so awesome to keep, and I really think more people should consider them as a pet. They are just really, really awesome geckos. If you want like a small-ish pet gecko that has relatively easy care, these guys are for you. And now I'm not sure where Neptune is right now. He's hiding somewhere, but he looks really similar to Pluto and Venus. Now moving on from my chameleon geckos, we have this enclosure right here, which I've said it before, I'll say it again, is by far my favorite enclosure I have in this entire room. I just love it so much. So this enclosure right here belongs to my poison dart frogs. I currently have a pair of Dendrobates tinctorius azureus named Bob and Linda. This one right here is Bob. Say hello to Bob, everyone. And now I actually have something really exciting to show you. If I move this plant here a little bit and we zoom in on this leaf back here, you might be able to see that there's a couple dart frog eggs there. How exciting is that? So Bob and Linda have been doing so well for me and they have been breeding like crazy. I have already gotten so many eggs and tadpoles from them. These ones here were just laid like 2 days ago. I'm probably gonna remove them from the enclosure later today, but this is now like their 5th clutch of eggs that I've gotten from them, and I've only had them for like 5 months. So yeah, safe to say that Bob Bob and Linda are doing well, and safe to say that they are hopefully enjoying their enclosure just as much as I am. We will be taking a look at Bob and Linda's tadpole soon. I promise they will be coming up later in the tour. I am just absolutely obsessed with my poison dart frogs. I'm so happy I decided to get dart frogs because I've just been enjoying them so much. They're so fun to watch. I love feeding them. I love that they're doing so well. I love that they're breeding for me. I love their enclosure. There's really just nothing not to love about these guys. I'm truly obsessed. What can I say? I'm just obsessed. And just speaking of obsessed, just look at this enclosure and look at all of the beautiful plants in it. We have this gorgeous black velvet alocasia. We got a Monstera dubia growing here. We have some philodendron micans. I love it. What can I say? I just really love this enclosure, and I really love Bob and Linda. They are the best. So I actually have someone new to introduce you to, and that someone doesn't have a name yet, but that someone would be right here, and that someone would happen to be a male Chihuahua gecko. So my male Chihuahua gecko is currently living in this enclosure here, but this is just a very temporary enclosure for him. For those of you who are familiar with me and my channel, you probably know that I already have a female Chihuahua gecko named Avery. So in about a month or so, my male Chihuahua gecko, who is, you know, like I said, temporarily living in here, is going to be moved into the enclosure with Avery, which you guys will see very soon. So this is only going to be his enclosure for like a month or so. This is not big enough for an adult Chihuahua permanently, so I just wanted to point that out that yeah, this is just a temporary enclosure, but that's my new gecko, my new Chihuahua gecko that is soon to be Avery's boyfriend. I hope you all enjoyed meeting him. And then right next to my new Chihuahua gecko, we have Yoshi, who is one of my sub-adult crested geckos. I tried to make him visible without like fully disturbing him, and this is the best I could do. Here is Yoshi. Like I said, he's one of my sub-adult crested geckos, so again, this won't be his permanent home. Once he gets a little bit bigger, he will be upgraded into an 18-18-24 terrarium, but for now, this is where Yoshi lives. So we've now taken a look at the bottom two rows of this shelf here, so now let's move up to the top. So on this top row here, you can see that we have 3 different enclosures. This one right here is actually just an empty enclosure. This used to be Avery, my Chihuahua gecko's enclosure, but I just recently upgraded her and moved her into this enclosure here. So this one's empty, and this one is Avery's new enclosure, and then on the end here we have Dorito, my crested gecko. So we won't really bother talking about Avery's old enclosure, but let's go ahead and take a look at her new enclosure. So this is the enclosure right here, and if you take a close look, you can actually see Avery, my gecko, just hanging out on the branch right here. So as I just mentioned, the male Chihuahua gecko that I just recently got and is currently living in this enclosure here will very soon be moved into this enclosure here to live with Avery, and hopefully I will be able to breed them and get some baby Chihuahua geckos. Are you excited to have a boyfriend? I don't know, maybe not. Can't really tell. I guess we'll find out. And last over here is the enclosure for Dorito, my crested gecko. And now, I must say, this enclosure it's really overgrown, and it's definitely due to be, honestly, just redone. It's not even just due to be like fixed up or anything. I honestly just want to redo this whole enclosure and like change the plants that are in it, because this is too much. That plant does not really fit in this enclosure anymore. And now you can see that on top of the shelf here, I just have a bunch of different bins. So all of these smaller bins that you see over here belong to my isopods, and then these 2 bins right here are my plant bins. So these bins here just have various plants growing in them. I just set these up recently, and getting a plant bin is something I've been wanting to do for a really long time now, so I'm happy that I finally did it. So now that we've taken a look at all of this stuff over here, let's go ahead and finish up this shelving unit by checking out what's going on over over here. So as you can see down on the bottom, I just have a bunch more bins. The bins underneath here house things like my invertebrates. I have like my curly hair tarantula, my scorpion, my whip scorpion. I also have my Pac-Man frog, my Sicilian is here, and then this last bin over here is going to be a future grow out bin for my dart frog tadpoles once they become froglets. There's none living in it right now, but there probably will be quite soon, so that's why I have it ready. And moving up here, we have probably my two least favorite enclosures in this entire room. We have Derek, my gargoyle gecko's enclosure, and then we have my Malaysian cat gecko enclosure. So I'm not really a fan at all of either of these enclosures. This one, I don't know, it works, it's just kind of ugly, and I swear I've redone this enclosure like 3 different times, and every single time I just hate it. I don't know why I can't ever make this enclosure look good. And now this one here I'm not a huge fan of because it's not what I want my cat geckos to be in. Before I moved, I had a beautiful bioactive setup for my cat geckos that I made a nice custom background for, and then of course it broke in the move. That was it. I just had to throw out that enclosure that I spent hours working on. It was really great. So this has been sort of their temporary setup since their bioactive one got smashed to bits, but I will one day be turning this one into a new bioactive enclosure with a new background and everything, but for now this is what my cat geckos are living in, and don't get me wrong, this isn't a bad setup for them or anything. It works great for them. My cat geckos have been doing wonderful. I just don't really like how it looks. Okay, now on the very top here we have my Thacodactylus oscraboprenorium, and we have Zuko the mountain horn dragon. This is a terrible shot, but if you look closely there you can see the feet and the tail of my Thacodactylus. Her name is Bean. Bean is much easier to say than Thacodactylus, so here's Bean, everyone. And then like I said, this enclosure up here belongs to Zuko, who is a mountain horn dragon. And now he's just a little baby mountain horn dragon, which is why he's just in this small enclosure right here. I don't know if any of you can even see him yet, but if you take a look right here, you will see a little teeny tiny Zuko. So Zuko here technically belongs to my boyfriend Josh. Josh is the one who bought him and everything, but we do live together and we share a lot of animal chores, so in the end it doesn't really matter who they technically belong to, but if you do want to get technical, Zuko belongs to Josh. And there you guys go, you have now seen everything on this shelf behind me, but don't worry, the room tour is nowhere close to done. There's a lot more in this room than just this shelf, believe it or not. Okay, so moving on from these shelves, if we take a look over here, you will see that I have a lovely window, and then I also have my desk over here. So my desk in this room is pretty small, so you know, there's not a whole lot on it, there's not much going on. I just have my chair in front of it, I have some like binders and books and folders and whatnot over here, I have my laptop, I have my Dart Frog's fruit flies, you know, very important desk essential right here. Everyone needs their fruit flies on their desk. And then I have this empty terrarium that I'm gonna set up eventually with some Monstera adansonii cuttings, and right next to my desk here we have some frogs and tadpoles. So this enclosure right here belongs to my Vietnamese mossy frog Bert, and right below Bert is where I keep all of my dart frog tadpoles. So there's Bert right there. He's currently hanging out on his background, and I don't know if you've ever seen a Vietnamese mossy frog before, but if you haven't, here you go, and you can probably tell where they get their name from. This frog really does just look like a clump of moss, but it's not moss, it's Bert. That's Bert. Don't confuse Bert for moss. So as I mentioned earlier, my dart frogs Bob and Linda just cannot stop breeding. They have bred so much, and I have many tadpoles now, as you can see. These here are their 3 most recent tadpoles that I had hatched. So these ones have been hatched for a couple weeks now, and they're doing real well. They're doing good. Here's some cute baby tadpoles. And then this one right here is the oldest of all of their tadpoles, which you can tell is almost almost a frog at this point. I'm probably gonna put something in this container later today to allow him to climb out onto land if he wants to. So yeah, this tadpole here is pretty much a frog. It's really close to being a frog. So right above my mossy frog tank, I have this shelf here, which you can see has my 100,000 subscriber YouTube play button on it, as well as this painting here that I did. I did this painting pretty recently, and I must say I'm a big fan of it. I really enjoyed the colors, and I think it looks good next to my play button here. What can you say? I'm a big fan of this shelf. And as you can see right in front of the shelf here, I have this Philodendron cordatum hanging here. I'm a big fan of this plant. It's a good one. So now let's see what's going on in here. So right here behind me is where I keep all of my hatchling geckos. I currently have 13 baby cat geckos, and they are all in these enclosures behind me. So let's go ahead and take a closer look at all of the babies over here. So many babies. So I currently have a total of 13 baby cat geckos housed throughout these shelves here. I just recently posted a video showing off all 13 baby cat geckos I had, so if you want to see the baby geckos, check out that video, because I'm not going to show them all in this video because one, it's the middle of the day so they're all asleep, and two, there's 13 of them, so that would take a really long time. But just know, this is where they live. There is one enclosure here that isn't for a cat gecko, which is this one right here, and this one belongs to my baby crested gecko, but other than my crested gecko, it's all cat geckos here. And then I also have some things going on the top of this shelf here. As you can see, I do have some like plants that I'm growing out, and I also keep my eggs up here. So I do have some cat gecko eggs incubating here, as well as a Thacodactylus egg. So now that we've taken a look at the baby gecko shelf, let's go ahead and move on to this shelf right here. So this shelf right here is very much a work in progress. I only just brought this shelf up to my lizard lounge like last week and got it set up. So this is a whole new addition from the last time you guys saw the lizard lounge. I used to have a cabinet here with a chair, but I kind of found that it was just taking up too much space, and I wanted more usable space for things like plants and enclosures, so I moved the cabinet and the chair out of my lizard lounge, and instead I brought this shelf up here. So let's go ahead and talk about this shelf and what's going on with it, because it's not staying like this. Right now it's just kind of here with things on it, but these aren't the things that are going to be staying on this shelf. So this shelf right here is a huge work in progress, and as you can see right now it basically just has a bunch of like plants and pots and stuff on it, but that's not what is staying on here. This isn't going to be like a plant shelf long term or anything. It's actually going to be mostly for animals. If we take a look down on the floor right here, you will see that I have a really big terrarium that's just been in the middle of the floor. Here it is. I'm currently working on the background for this enclosure, as you can see, and then once it's done, this enclosure is going to be going up onto the top shelf here, and then I'm also going to have a different enclosure on this shelf right here. And you can't really tell, but there is already an enclosure on the bottom shelf here that houses my leopard gecko Pepper. It's just mostly hidden by this big enclosure in front of it at the moment. So yeah, that's what's going on over here. So even though this isn't going to be a plant shelf for much longer, it's currently a plant shelf right now, so let's go ahead and take a quick look at the plants and stuff that are on here. So we'll go ahead and start over here, and as you can see, I have a big, beautiful Monstera deliciosa right here, and below my Monstera, I have this gorgeous Fern. This is the only fern I've ever been able to keep alive, but I've had it going strong for a few months now, so that's a win in my books. Behind the Monstera and the Fern here, I have two Philodendron Birkins, and this empty pot right here with this empty pole used to belong to my 6-foot tall Monstera Adansonii, but it sadly got some spider mites, and thankfully it's okay. I was able to just chop it all up and like propagate it, so I still have all of the cuttings from it, but sadly the big tall plant is no longer. These are the pieces here that I'm keeping to like replant lift it and, you know, I guess just get it going again. This shelf mostly has a bunch of cuttings on it that I'm propagating. There's a ton of pothos cuttings, there's some philodendron cuttings, there's some tradescantia cuttings, and then there's also some Monstera deliciosa cuttings, and then up on the top here we mostly have some empty pots with some Monstera adansonii plants that I made, and then my nice jade pothos over here. On the wall here I also have a bit of art. This painting up here is also one that I did. This print I got in Perth, Ontario. And then this beautiful Monstera embroidery here is from Estrella Goods. You can also see that on the top shelf here I have these two gorgeous terrariums that I am absolutely obsessed with. Josh set up this one right here, and then I set up this one back here, so I really like having this displayed here. Even once I get the enclosures put on this shelf, these terrariums are going to be staying, like there is enough room for them on here with the enclosure, so those terrariums are staying right there. And then if we take a look over here, again, I just have some more plants. So on the ground here, I have a Ficus elastica burgundy, I have some more philodendron, and then I have two aglaonemas right here. And then I also have a couple hanging plants, such as some Hoyas and the satin pothos. Right here, I have another painting that I did, this frog one, and then this snake wall hanging is from Herpetology on Etsy. So now that we've covered this area of the room, it's time to move on to the last section of the room, which would be this one right over here. So as you can see, the door to the room is right here. This just leads to the rest of the house. There's nothing super exciting back there, just more house. I do have this Monstera hanging on the back of the door that I really like. I just got this at HomeSense, so it's not like anything special or anything. I just like it. On the ground here, we have my ZZ plant and one of my snake plants, and then up here we have this plant. I forget what it's called. I don't know why, I can never remember the name of this one, but that's fine. And then moving up here we have a tradescantia, we have my marble queen pothos, we have this little carved mushroom statue here that Josh got me, and then up here I have another Monstera propagating. This aglaonema right here is one of my favorite plants in the room. I love the way the leaves look on this one. I'm obsessed with this plant. So taking a look at this shelf here, you can see that we do have a few enclosures on it. So starting on the top here, we have the enclosure that used to belong to my Chameleon Finn, and now I am very sad to say that yes, used to is correct. Very sadly, my Chameleon Finn passed away a couple weeks ago, and haven't really known how to say anything yet, so I guess this is the announcement that unfortunately Finn is no longer with us, and I was extremely sad when I found him passed away in the enclosure, and I will just miss him very, very much. He was such a special chameleon. Below Finn's old enclosure here, we have Fern, who is one of my African fat-tailed geckos. Then we have my Sparodactylus sputators, and on the bottom we have Pudge, who is my Colorado river toad. And there you go. There is a full tour of my lizard lounge right now in February of 2022. Filming these videos is always really fun, and my reptile rooms are like constantly changing, so like I mentioned at the beginning of this video, I really want to try and film some more regular reptile room tours, so I'm probably not gonna do them like monthly, but I definitely want to try and do a couple every year at least. Before I did my last one, it had been like literally 2 years before I did a reptile room tour, so I don't want to fall back in that habit. I want to start doing them more regularly, and I want to show you guys the other rooms in my house, so those are coming soon. I promise. They will soon be up on the channel. So just another reminder to check out my Teespring shop and consider getting something for yourself or maybe something for someone else. And while you're at it, also be sure to check out Beyond the Wild. So with all of that said, I am going to go ahead and start wrapping this video up. If you did enjoy this video, it would really mean the world to me if you gave it a big thumbs up. It costs you nothing and it really helps me out, so I would really appreciate that. And of course, be sure to subscribe for more awesome animal content just like this. Also be sure to check out all of my social media. You can find me on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, all of those places. My username on all of those is just MSAM99, and you can also find them down in the description below. So please be sure to check out all of that. I would love to have you guys over there. So with all that said, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up now. Thank you all so much for watching. I do truly appreciate it. I really hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you all in my next video.